Well, hello and welcome to the Tao Manifesting Tarot, the most in-depth reading of its kind. Yes, we focus on tarot. Yes, we focus on the present. Yes, we keep in mind the current geopolitical stew that we are creating, that we're making. But the Tao Manifesting Tarot is the most critically thoughtful reading on the internet, maybe everywhere. Because over 20 years of doing tarot, I've come to the realization that tarot does not predict anything. From my point of view, not a damn thing. However, what it does do, and it's very, very important, it predicts potential, your potential to manifest. Tarot frequency provides our ultimate destination. It is confronting fate and saying, given this tarot frequency, this tarot energy, this tarot potential, I choose to boom. It's what it's all about. It's our potential. The human imagination is our kryptonite. You're not going to get it from a smartphone. You're not going to get it from artificial intelligence. You're not going to get it from any kind of a computer. It has to come from within you. And then you take those pictures, thoughts, ideas, feelings, whatever, and you put them out into the world. You don't take them from the world and put them into you. That is the wrong energy. It's the wrong direction. It's from within us, our imagination, outward into the world. And in fact, that is the title of today's Tao Manifesting Tarot, Pictures of Your Inhibition. I'm playing on a song that was very popular, an opera was very popular, Pictures at an Exhibition, but I'm tweaking it because it really talks about what tarot is all about. Pictures of your inhibition. What are you afraid of? What do you think is impossible? What's standing in your way? What's blocking you? It's you. It's your fears, imagined or otherwise. Pictures of your inhibition. That is the message for the tarot manifesting reading for today. No fantasy, no rainbows, no unicorn imaging, none of that weird stuff that people love to do. They throw that crap out to make you think they're doing something. They're just making stuff up. They're pulling it out of their ass. We don't do that here. Reality, what we are in right now, I don't care whether you want to call it a matrix or not. We're in the matrix. We're here. What are we going to deal with? You're going to fantasize. You're going to go, no, it's just an imagination thing. I don't have. No, you're living in this matrix right now. What are you going to do? That's what the tarot is all about. Here you have this particular overlay of life. Now, how are you going to deal with it? That's the tarot message. But to help with that, I do big picture thinking. I add in astrology and numerology. Why? Because they're the science of cycles within cycles, within cycles, within cycles. It gets very complicated. But I've done astrology, numerology for 50, tarot for 20 years. I've had a lot of experience. And I take the numerology and astrology as a basis. This gives us the idea of what energy we are in right now, this moment. So I go back in time, back and forth, using astrology as kind of a guide, because if I can figure out what the energy is or was in another time, I can bring it forward. And it's amazing how it fits. And that what that does is sets the table, if you will, for your imagination. Remember, pictures of your inhibition. What are you afraid of? This helps understand the situation. For example, and I say this just about every day because it works so well. 1776, July 4, America signs the Declaration of Independence. Two planets, Pluto, Uranus, were in specific positions. Doesn't matter what positions they were in specific positions in the sky. 250 years later, because it takes Pluto 250 years to go around the planet, boom, they're in the same spot. Now, that was about a year, 2 years ago. You see what's happened in society. Pluto is evolution, Uranus is revolution. We're in the middle of a revolution. Which way is it going to go? That's the tarot energy. That's your potential. That is a picture of your inhibition. So we're going to do the big picture thinking right now. Again, it's your human imagination that's the kryptonite. No fantasy, rainbows, unicorn crap. We're going to get to the reality of the situation. And I'm going to begin with the basis, the astrology coming up. But first, I want to let you know that we do have an email. You can contact me. I ask you please to do though. Tau-tarot@proton.me. Tau-tarot@proton.me. I'm off the Gmail thing as much as I can because I realize it's a system. It is indeed a matrix, but it's a negative matrix. It's obvious. They're controlling every single piece. Now, that's not to say that tau-tarot@proton.me is free of all of that, but at least it's an effort. At least it's an attempt to try to move ahead and move outside of this particular, if you will, matrix. So that's tau-tarot@proton.me. Write anything, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't make any difference. I want to hear from you. Alrighty, so let's get to it, huh? Let's get to it. The astrologic. About 2 months ago, a little bit more, in July, I knew that we were a year away from our 250th anniversary as in the United States of America. Next year, July 4th, 2026, 250 years, if we make it. If we make it. It's not a guarantee. So, I decided let's take a look at American history, but from an astrological perspective, because it will help us dig deeper, look behind the curtain. And what you see is right from the start, as far as we're concerned, as the United States of America. 1492, Columbus arrives. Bankers, European Jew bankers primarily, though not exclusively, began to finance this whole expedition because they wanted to conquer the so-called New World. And so they got up close and tight right from the beginning of the United States of America, the colonies. Bank of England, which was started, by the way, by independent European Jewish bankers to give the King of England money to fight a war. Oh, what's new? They said as part of the deal, they want to create their own bank, call it the Bank of England. Make it sound official. Now, by 1700, we got a guy by the name of Adam Smith who says, guys, we got to change our modeling a little bit. We got to change our image. A little PR needs to be done here. So instead of leaning on usury, which was charging people for borrowing money, let's call it instead capitalism. Sounds so nice, so official, so formal. And so that's the game that they played. But that capitalism/usury from the Bank of England set up the Revolutionary War. After the Revolutionary War, that same group set the Wall Street people on fire, the stock market, because you could start to steal from people. And they also wanted the first bank of the United States. They had a 20-year run. It ran out. They said, let's do it again. They had to fight for it, but they got another 20-year lease. By the end of the second lease, Andrew Jackson said, we know the scam. Yeah, I know you call it capitalism. It's usury and it's killing America. I don't play. Abraham Lincoln said his biggest enemy was the European bankers. Not the South. So, yeah, they were a problem, but it was European bankers. And in fact, England, Spain, France were ready to support the South because it was the bankers who were pushing it. So the point of the whole matter is he got assassinated for fooling with the big bankers in Europe. McKinley got assassinated for fooling with the big bankers in Europe. Finally, they get the Federal Reserve 1913, which I think was the critical year in the history of the United States of America, because that's when America was purchased. And it's been downhill ever since. So, with that in mind, we've been moving up through the years. We've gotten past World War II, which was World War I, Part 2. We finally gotten past that. 50s were golden, were fabulous, great. We had a fabulous economy. Everything was growing. People were doing well. It was the golden age. Then we hit 1960. That's when things began to change. We're going to look at 1960 through 65. What happened in those 5 years? Well, the assassination of JFK, because he was fooling with the money. He was fooling with the money. He wanted to change all of that, plus the CIA and a couple of other things as well. So they got rid of him. Civil Rights Act was passed. Vietnam War we stepped into, even though it was a lie. And one of the things that people don't talk a whole lot about was that the music changed. In fact, it had changes on society. In the 50s, we were kind of like, well, we just kind of grew from the 40s. It was a repeat. The 50s were the 40s repeated. And by the time we got to 1960, things began to change a little bit. Folk music began to surface. We were looking, people my age, I was born in 1950, so in 1960 I was 10. Just getting to the age where I was going to imprint some of my stuff on the generation. So we began to look at the folk music as to try to find our own roots. And then shortly after that, we had the Beach Boys, which was another attempt to surf and all that kind of stuff, and cars and all the stuff that reflected America. We were beginning to change, and it was being shown in the music. And then finally, at the end of that 5 year period, we get 64, 65, we have the Beatles. And that flipped the script. And that set us up for what was the ultimate change in the 1960s. By the way, a time that was predicted by the Hopi Indians back a couple of thousand years ago. They said there'd be a group of people who would be young, who have long hair, who would return to the earth, who would have love and peace. These would be one of the signs of the end times. The hippies. Well, that's what we were heading to by 1965. And if you looked at the music, you could feel the change. We didn't look at it, but as we got into 1965 and beyond, we felt it. More about that tomorrow. Let's take a look at the astrology. Said this was going to be an astrological type of look. Pictures of our inhibition. What do we got? We have some interesting stuff. Uranus and Pluto in a very favorable relationship. So they were in Virgo. You could say that was kind of return to earth, the hippie movement, that kind of peace and love sort of a thing. We also had Jupiter and Saturn in very favorable, and they were in a position where they were signaling something new coming. So we have the earthy stuff with Pluto and Uranus in Virgo. We got the new agenda with the Jupiter and Saturn, and here's the fly in the ointment. Uranus square Saturn. Hidden change, manipulation, stuff was going on behind the scenes. We did not see it. But man, did we feel it. So there you go. 60 to 65, if you were observant, and very few of us were, certainly not me, you could see what was coming. And it was going to be profound. Let's do the meme for today. Here's predictive programming, the Stockholm syndrome, karmic forgiveness. This guy, Graham Hodson, said, you know what? They tell you in advance what they're going to do because it's kind of a programming thing that they do. So you'll keep getting like the Simpsons. You're going to keep getting clues about what's going on. Not believe it, but it's there right in front of your face. They are programming us. Makes you wonder what they're up to right now, huh? Take a look at the missing link. This is fascinating. Lee Merritt, medical doctor, said that in researching, he found out that in 1889, they knew cancer was caused by parasites. But they never said anything. They never said anything. Why? Because it is my considered belief that for the most part, medicine, from the medicine men to the royal healers in the middle ages, up to the present, doctors, medicine is a lie. They don't focus on your health or wellness, they focus on your illness because that's where they make their money. So, back more than 100 years ago, surgeons knew cancer parasites connection. We're just refinding that, if you will, today. Yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff. Remember, this is about pictures of your inhibition, and we're dealing with it pretty heavy duty. Let's get to the tarot. This is the root of the reading. Here's where we've seen all this stuff that we're swimming through. What are we going to do? What's the options? Eight of Cups talks about burning bridges, not looking back. I'm done. I'm done. I have this emotional connection. That's what cups are about. They're not about romance necessarily. They're about emotional connections. Pictures of your inhibition. You are well aware now that you've been lied to, and you're walking away. It's painful because it's emotional, but you got to walk away. The moon is helping you because it's allowing you to sense, although you can't really see clearly. Going back to the 50s, remember we had the change of music, folk music, Beach Boys, Beatles, that, yeah. We're kind of going through the same thing. Not the same, but kind of the same thing. So the Eight of Cups says, I'm walking away. It hurts, but I can't go back ever, ever, ever. I see something better in the future. At least I sense it. I can't really get my hands on it. And the Ten of Cups, that's that deep connection. That's really what you're looking for. Reconnecting with yourself. Pictures of your inhibition. We're going back to that theme. You are confronting the devil, the fear inside of you. And the tarot is your way to grab some energy and get out, move on. Burn the bridges. Trust your senses. Go after that deep connection. All righty, that's it. We're out of time. Woo, flies by. Thank you so much for coming up every single day. You don't know how much I appreciate it. You make it all worthwhile. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Hey, also, like and subscribe. There is dirty stuff going on behind the scenes. This is their big move. You see what's going on in Europe. People are objecting. You see what's going on here in America. We're on the verge of civil war. They're panicking. They're worried. Like and subscribe. Help us to inform you. That's the Tao Manifested reading for today. Thank you so much. Back again tomorrow. Hope you're here with me. In the meantime, blessings.